Hey everyone, it is time for some results. This week is more focused on the JP meta because they had a bunch of WGPs, but like this JP meta includes Oceania. Well, not really Oceania, the Southeast Asia regions. So we get to at least take a look at the new format because everyone is still talking about it. And as you can see from this pie chart here, good one from Fuzzy. Look at that, the dog again, right? This pie chart is looking pretty jeweled, you know? And I just want to also say that was a premium tournament for Deluxe that happened over the weekend as well. So we're going to look at that at the end too. But first off, we're just going to take a look at the normal tournaments, right? So first off, let's go back to Shanghai. This one actually happened last week. So this is not a week 2 list. This is a week 1 list. And as you can see, there is just a lot of Drajuled. Like 3 Drajuled in top 8. Then Leonon, Minerva, Youthberg, Mikazuki, and Bastion. And the winner was actually Leonon. So, right, Leonon taking it home with the 2 Drajuled in 2nd and 3rd. And then a Minerva able to keep it up, right? So, all the people who bought Thesis at $50, your investment is safe, right? But then next we have is, well, this is still Shanghai. Next we have is Jakarta. So, this is Indonesia. And this one was taken over by Mygo, right? 3 Mygos in the top 8. Then 2 Drajuled. Then 1 Minerva, Mushiking, and Gandiva. And this was eventually taken by the Mygo list, which came first, and then Minerva, Mushiking, and the Gandiva. So I do kind of want to point out, like, post some thoughts here. I feel like Mygo is like the Gandiva of this set. It is cheap, right? So a lot of people can access it. It is a Bang Dream set, so it's getting a lot of Bang Dreamers into the game, or at least getting them to buy it because it's also cheap. It's also competitive in a way that it pops off quicker, it can rush quicker, so it can beat out those like fake grade 4 decks. But I guess in Ignis's case, it is a real grade 4 deck, right? But you know, it beats out Unison Dress because it's faster. It beats out Drajuled because it's faster, and it like doesn't really, I guess it doesn't really beat out Youthberg because Youthberg is like very quick as well when it pops off. It's high roll, and then also beats Jiva because Jiva is like, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of average. It's kind of average. But yeah, those were the lists from the 2 WGP events. I'm also looking at one of the VGCSs because this was really big too. So this is the Ultimate Championship. This had 62 teams, right? And the winning team was bringing Dark States, Token Rambu, and Stoichea. So we've got the Drajuled, Mikazuki, and Leonon lineup. And then, you know, afterwards, team 2 was Bastion, Youthberg, and Drajuled. 3rd place was Chaos, Mygo, and Morphonica. And then 4th was Leonon, Youthberg, and Drajuled. So we're just going to take a look at some of these lists, right? Because we looked at some of the week 1 lists. Leonon 1 was maybe a bit weird, but I think it's kind of settled down. So first off, we have that Drajuled list. As you can see, basically just running all of the support that you can. So the 1s of each ride line, the 4 of all the new cards, even running this Draco kid that a lot of people have been not running because they just want to run better value cards. And then 1 Impusa, right, for the flex slot, pretty much. This deck, I think, probably just has like 1 or 2 flex slots, and you know, you can run the Maid. I know people running the Maid, it's very expensive, but you can also run Impusa as like the extra attack. So instead of like picking, you just have to, basically anything that combos with Rockagore, right? But also it can work by itself just as an extra 4th attack, so it's nice. Then next we have is the Leonon list. So this is much more refined. Last week we saw some weird, you know, Drajuled mask list, and then a few others. But this one we're getting there. We're getting to the point where this is the stuff, right? This is the crazy stuff. So first off, you know, only 1 of the ride line, just the normal one, right? No masks at all, of course. We're seeing Resonance Dragons. So for some reason, some of the lists last week we didn't see Resonance Dragons, but you know, it's the ideas flow quite freely and quickly, so people have been picking up, I guess. And then you have things like the 4X Diantha that's now making the deck way more expensive than it was before. And you've got the PRs and all that, so pretty nice to see, right? We'll see more of these lists for sure, right? And then next we have is the Youthberg list. So one of the nice things that's been changing is cutting the Tempest down to 2. I think that's quite significant, right? Who actually needs 3 Tempests when you're only going to go into Full Blast? So at most, you probably only need 1 extra, right? You go, oh no, this turn I failed to go into a full blast, right? I will have to go into a Tempest. So that's pretty much the only Tempest you're going into. So like running 3 Tempests just seems kind of weird. We also don't see the weird ratios where it's like the 2 Zest build. It's like, who is playing with 2 Zests, right? But then because you cut out the Tempest, you have a few extra slots that you can run. So here we see 2 of the Ride Line Cat, which just kind of serves as, you know, extra defensive shield. You want to see it early so you just don't die. So it's just nice to have, right? And then the next few lists, you got the MyGo list. So this one is pretty straightforward. MyGo, you literally just run 4 of everything, all your friends, right? And then you run 1x of her. That's pretty much the list. This is as easy as it gets, right? So that's why I'm saying this is the new Gandia, right? Easy to play, easy to rush with, easy to build because you just 4x everything, right? Yeah, pretty much that, except for the songs. But you can literally just copy and paste the rest of the deck, and the song slots just kind of work out for themselves. So pretty cool. And then lastly was that Morphonica list. Now this is the first time we've really seen Morphonica actually do something, but it is. So I don't really know if it's like a fan deck. I feel like it is kind of like a big fan deck, right? You see everything is like high rarity. But you have the nice gimmick where with this Mashiro, you can ride on top of her to get like a restander, and then end of turn you can ride her again. This grade 3 Mashiro has like a kind of a nice effect where you kind of redirect your opponent's attacks by discarding a grade 3 Mashiro's hand. So you kind of just like, well, redirect from your opponent's regards. So you have to kind of change the attack targets like another one of your guys. But it's just like, if your opponent's reguard gets like super fat, you're gonna go, sorry bro, just attack something else. And then you get to live, you can just live, right? So kind of nice. Lets you also just run the max number of just grade 3s, because they're never ever gonna go to waste. Which is very, very good to see, right? So that's pretty much like the 5 decks I want to kind of feature from the Ultimate Championship. As if you want to see more of these lists, they are on VG Paradox. Fuzzy Paradox's website, and to be fair, I feel like a lot of them are just pretty much the norm, right? And then lastly, we did have a tournament as well. This was for premium, and this one had diversity cut, right? I just want to point it out. This is the end of Swiss rankings. The diversity cut was, I think, at the 6th place, so anything 7th place and onwards just stuck in because they weren't undefeated. And that's why you have the 3 Narukami that made it through diversity cut, while things like, I don't know, other Neo Nectars, Angel Feathers, Bermuda Triangles, right? Kagura, Nubatama, look at these hardworking players. I didn't mention Mega Colony because 1 Mega Colony is enough, but like all these other clans that would normally have a chance at making it got destroyed, right? Soz. Should have played Narukami. Narukami players keep on winning, but they don't. They actually don't. Because if you look at the results for premium, it didn't turn out the way it did. So here it is, the top 4. First place was the Neo Nectar. Second was the Kaguro. Third was the Angel Feather. And 4th was a Negro Bolt Grand Blue list. So I'm sure a lot of people are going, why Negro Bolt? I don't know. We'll take a look, right? So let's kind of just take a look at some of the decks. It is on Fuzzy Paradox's website, all 16 of them. If you're too lazy to type in a deck code, you can always go here, right? And give him some ad revenue, right? Support the site. But let's take a look at, I'm just only going to look at the interesting list, right? If we look at, you know, the Spike Brothers, Dimension Police, Nubatama, Mega, there's no point. There's no point. I do want to point out that, yeah, not only was the diversity cut, I do think that the Japanese meta is kind of less developed than the Western one. So that's why you're seeing a lot of weird stuff. But even in a less developed meta, we're still seeing things like, oh, look, it's 3 Narukami. Oh, look, someone's playing Mega Colony. Probably more did. They just got killed by the diversity cut, right? Oh, someone's playing Bermuda Triangle. Guess what build that is? It is a mill deck. So they have been looking at, well, at least some of the players have been looking at these foreign results, but overall, I just want to say, you know, a lot of people just bring things that they like without a regard for what's happening in the metagame. So let's kind of look at some of these decks. So first off, let's look at the Winnet Katrina list. This one is unfortunately just pretty straightforward, right? It's Katrina deck. What do? You build tokens, and then you get them to build more tokens. They all hit very big, and your opponent just dies, right? Because the math just doesn't add up. The interesting thing in this list, I guess, is they're running 4x Honolly. Some decks don't, well, some of these decks don't really run it. What is nice though with Honolly now, don't forget, is that it has the new effect where you can just kind of bind it, and then you know, it only affects your opponent, so it doesn't really waste your slots as well, and your opponent just can't get rid of the effect. They just have to kind of wait for it. So if you're doing your max attack turn, you can also use Honolly's to kind of secure yourself from your opponent's next turn if you don't think you'll kill. by just binding it and just putting a restriction on the opponent. But otherwise, this whole deck is just pretty much pretty straightforward, right? Pretty straightforward. Nothing really special to talk about. Katrina just doing Katrina things. But then the next one we have is a Kagura list. Now, there are kind of two builds of Kaguras that has kind of been floating around. First was the cross build, just the normal cross build where you just go all in on the cross in the end. The second one has been the damage increases, where you combo that with Rebirth and just get like nice amount of multi-attacks. The Rebirth build does kind of suffer when it faces against things like Messiah, which will just kind of shut you down, or just that, you know, if you just draw the increases, it just feels kind of bad, right? So the cross though still kind of functions as before. You go into the cross, it's just like kind of like V, right? Go into the cross search the end, do a bunch of as many attacks as you can. The nice thing now is that, you know, some of your crits also function as damage checks, damage triggers, draw triggers on a damage check, like this, like this one. So you can run like more crits, but they also function as more advantage in hand, which is kind of nice, right? And also just nowadays, like back then, the thing that shut down Overlord was just Rollox. Nowadays, not as many people run Rollox because the grade 2 game is not as deep or as needed as it was before. In fact, you might not even need it at all. So a lot of people are cutting the Rollox, which means that they're more susceptible to just Overlord restands, which is a weird dynamic there. G-Zone is pretty much it. 4 Denial Griffins, of course, like the crutch that Kagura stays on, because most of the other G cards are pretty average. But yeah, that is pretty much the Overlord list. Just Overlord going brr, right? Next is the Angel Feather list. Now, I kind of disagree with this Angel Gize list. There's kind of, I feel it's like way more you can do with this list. But with this one, they just went, you know, hey, let's just build a Gabriel deck. This one's actually G Gabriel as well. Wow. So, you know, get the 2 protects. You know, do some damage checks, hope for the best. But they're not running, like, I feel like there's like key cards that you can run that just makes the deck better. Like, there's I think there's a new grade 3 that lets you put a grade 2 high unit on top of your deck, or grade 3. So what you can do is, like, you can put a heal trigger on top, and then you can draw the heal trigger, and you can heal down, makes your deck more bulky, which is what you want to be when you're playing Neon Gize, right? You want to go into your Gize form with like little damage to your opponent. It's very, very hard to kill you, and you just kill them on the response. So yeah, you do have a lot of damage checks with this deck, right? This is just what V Gabriel is supposed to do. You're supposed to just, you know, just ping, 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 and then just get all the triggers, and then go into 0 of ASAP. But does it? I just feel like it's missing a bunch of more other stuff that would be quite helpful for its game plan. So that's pretty much it. Next we have is the Negro Bolt list. So I don't really know what to think about this list, right? In my opinion, I guess, is that you make some pretty slick big bounty turns, because Negro Bolt itself, right, gives you plus, I guess, plus 20k for every 10 cards in your drop. Now, one thing with the Negro Bolt is that at the beginning of your ride and main phase, you do bind all the non-triggers in your drop zone. But, you know, the first time you ride this card and then you stride immediately, you don't have to worry about that bind, right? So you do get to have a bunch of stuff in your drop zone. So when you big bounce and go back down, your front row once again gets pretty massive. It does combo with the Ghoul Dragon, because this will, you bind this card, but then you can kind of call it out by putting cards back into your deck. So this means you also don't deck out. You can't put in triggers though, because otherwise that'd be very, very OP. But it does, like, you know, also help you out against the Narukami matchup, right? When you play against Narukami, and if you look at some of the results in the past, lots of Narukami. If you're afraid of that, Negro Bolt is literally your exact counter to that deck. They will just feel bad. And it's also running like 3x of the, what was his maiden? Something like that. But it's like the girl that just puts the whole bind zone back into your drop and gets a big bunch of power. So what will happen is, like, on the later turns, you might have this on your Vanguard, just binding all your stuff, right? But then at least that fuels this girl, which will just get a billion power, and then you just continue to big bounty, right? Just continue to big bounty. So yeah, I think that's just kind of how the deck goes. In a way, you don't really have a problem with deck out then, because you can just keep on, like, you know, putting cards back into your deck and just keep on going. So pretty cool to see. All right, pretty cool to see. Interesting idea. And then last of the list I kind of want to see was this Raging Form deck. Now, I have actually played against premium raging forms in the past. This one is kind of strange though, because it is running the Phantom Blaster Abyss Legion. So in a way, I guess, like with raging form, you do kind of go through the deck a bit because you do restand a lot and just keep on triggering, and sometimes you'll draw triggers. So if you're afraid of that, you can have the Legion in your deck, I guess. But I guess one of the things you can do is like you can guard of like the OT and then put it back into your deck, and it's like surprise, surprise, multi-value, right? It is also a Revenger name, so in a way it kind of fits the theme, which is nice to see. But it just looks like, you know, raging form. It's a fun deck to play, but again, I think it's the result of that meta, the JP meta being not like super developed yet, so a lot of these things get by. Also, this is diversity card, so yeah, you just advantage for playing a clan that no one plays in top card. Yeah, that is great. But anyway, that is kind of it for all the results I wanted to talk about. I could have zoomed this in well. But yeah, if you want to see those deck codes, they are on VG Paradox's the VG Paradox website, or Fuzzy Paradox's website, whatever you want to say. Just go check them out there. There's a few more decks that you want to see, but there's just so many clans. Lots to talk about though, right? Interesting premium results, but also interesting standard results. Pretty be excited to see how that standard meta develops. Is it gonna get faster? Are people gonna just play more Dredule and not care and just get good at playing against Micro? I don't know. We'll see like in the next couple of weeks. So that is it for this time. I'll see you all next time. Bye.